Today I am going to talk about the French influence on the Irish language. If you're French, bonjour, j'adore la langue et la culture française. Je vais vous le montrer le lien entre le français et le gallique. Also, at the end of the video, I'd like to show you kind of a hidden French cemetery in the city centre in Dublin. Hi, my name is Matthew, I'm Irish. If you're interested, let's go, Rockimage. Irish is an Indo-European language, the same as most other European languages. So Irish and French actually have a common ancestor, although that ancestor was many, many thousands of years ago. Irish has a lot of words from Latin. For example, the days of the week in Irish come from Latin. I've done a video on that. I'll leave a link in the description below. And as you might know, French is actually from Latin as well. But one of the main influences was in 1169, the Normans invaded Ireland. Now the Normans were Vikings who settled in the north of France, in the Normandy region. When they were there, they took up French language, French culture, they became Christian, and they invaded Ireland in 1169. They took over a lot of the country, and for a few hundred years they ruled Ireland. Their language was French, so the language of the aristocracy was French. And from this, a few words trickled from French into the Irish language. The word for body in Irish is corps. In French, it's corps. The word for egg in Irish, it's of. In French, it's œuf. The word for gold in Irish, it's or. In French, it's or. The word for silver or money in Irish is arigage. In French, it's argent. The word for God in Irish is Dia. In French, it's Dieu. The word for air in Irish is air, like you might see on the Ireland's national airline Aer Lingus. And the word for air in French is air, like in Air France. Air France, the French carrier, the French airline. The word for boy in Irish is garçon. In French, it's garçon. The word for cold in Irish is four. In French, it's froid. The word for cow in Irish is beau. In French, it's bœuf. The word for king in Irish is ri. In French, it's roi. The word for room in Irish is chambre. In French, it's chambre. The word for sea in Irish is mur. In French, it's mer. And the word for morning in Irish is matin. In French, it's matin. These are the words that I know of. There's probably more. If you know any more, leave them in the comments below. Before I take you to the French cemetery in Dublin city centre, if you like this material, please subscribe. I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe, because it means that the material I'm producing is, you find it interesting and you find it helpful. So let's go to this French cemetery. I am at a French cemetery in the city centre in Dublin. It's called the Huguenot Cemetery. The Huguenots were French Protestants. They came to Ireland a few hundred years ago, during the time of Louis XIV of France. You might know Louis XIV, you probably do, if you've heard of the Palace of Versailles. That's where he lived, that's the kind of guy he was. The Three Musketeers, that's based at the time of Louis XIV. Louis XIV, he had a big ego, he thought a lot of himself. He used to be called the Sun King. His most famous quote is "L'État, c'est moi," the state, it's me. So yeah, he thought a lot of himself. He was quite authoritarian. He was a devout Catholic, so he used to go to mass every day. And as you can imagine, he didn't particularly like the Protestants because they were a different religion to him and maybe challenge him. So he made life very uncomfortable for the French Protestants. So a lot of them at this time, they left France. They went to other European countries. They went to the Netherlands. They went to England, to Germany, Switzerland. Some of them ended up in South Africa, and a small amount came to Ireland. So even though they were small in number, they were quite influential in Ireland. So it's thought that they helped set up the linen industry in Ulster in the north of Ireland. They also, one of the families, the Latouche family, they were instrumental in founding and setting up the Bank of Ireland, which is Ireland's oldest bank. There's a bridge named after the Latouche family. If you know Dublin, if you're going from Rathmines into the city centre, you cross over the Grand Canal, and that bridge is called Latouche Bridge. There's a street, Duleer Street in Dublin city centre, is also called after a Huguenot family. Samuel Beckett, if you know Samuel Beckett, the Irish writer, his ancestors were French Huguenot. In fact, in the plaque over here, there's actually one of the Becketts, their name is up there. Further afield, if you know Johnny Depp, if you're American, or if you're a fan of Hollywood, his family were Huguenot as well. So it's kind of it's quite a quaint place to visit. It's a nice little small part of Irish history. I find it very interesting. So I hope you liked this video. I hope you found it informative, maybe learned a few things. If you do like it, please give it a thumbs up and leave any comments. If you've anything you'd like me to discuss or anything you're curious about, just leave a comment and I'll see what I can do. Thank you. Slán agad. Slán.